4, 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to Racing World, brought to you by Perspective Group. It's your motorsport podcast show in conjunction with Race Control Magazine.
Well, hey everyone, didn't really intend doing this show, but we had the opportunity today to talk to Simon Pagenaud and Scott Dixon just before the race at Road America this weekend. So what better opportunity is that? Two of the great names in the sport and a chance to chat with them. So it was just something that I couldn't turn down, and I felt that I really wanted to share it with you. Big news, of course, this morning. Kevin Magnussen now stepping in for Felix Rosenqvist at the Arrow McLaughlin team this weekend. And that's a biggie because he's on loan from Chip, because he drives in the INSMA GTP series for Chip. So quite an interesting move. That puts Magnussen in the car. And then Oliver Askew in for Rinus VeeKay over at Ed Carpenter. So the former McLaren driver moves to Ed Carpenter. And then the Ganassi sports car driver comes into McLaren. So she's roundabout all over the place this weekend. Interesting thing, though, we've never quite had it before. Two Formula One ex-teammates from Haas Racing, both going to line up on the grid beside each other this weekend. So that's bound to sort of just create some interest, if nothing else. But one thing we are seeing is we're seeing this desire for more and more people to become involved in the series. So I asked Scott exactly what he thinks that's about.
And honestly, I think there's a lot of others that are trying to, sniff out that situation and that opportunity. So, it's great to see. I think a lot of people that's where they want to be. The Kevin thing, when there was talk of Felix maybe not doing the event, you could see the opportunity being there. Not sure how he pulled it off. That's probably a question for Chip. But it's great. Kevin, luckily I've had, a couple of race weekends with him and they had their first win in Detroit, which was fantastic. I think that Cadillac program was a long time coming for that win, so it was great to see. But yeah, it's cool to see, and I know initially that's why, Kevin came to America was trying to be an IndyCar. So, hopefully down the road, that's something that would be possible.
Moving on to the racing matters, Dixie, your teammates this year, this is something new, have both won races. Alex has won a couple, Marcus has won one now. Is that beneficial to you?
It's big, I think not just for that reason, but for team morale. I think seeing the 10 car get, the victory at Barber was fantastic. It was a lot of people with a lot of smiles on their face. And then, I think with Marcus, it's been a long time coming too. And finally, everything kind of rolled his way and it worked out. So, it's great for the team. As I said, for us to have 3 wins as a team, as a driver, you definitely want to be more dominant than just having a single win. But for the team morale and I think development and everything, everybody's pretty similar, which is great. It shows that it's working. So it's huge for the team, and hopefully that continues for the rest of the season to make sure that we can capture some more wins.
Well, we'll just leave Scott for a sec here. Simon, attention to you now. One of the big things that's become a bit of a talking point, and is it impacting you at all? This is contract renewal year for you. So how big's that?
I love IndyCar racing. I love Indianapolis 500. My goal is to be in IndyCar for a long, long time to come. So that's where I stand. And then, obviously, what's important at the moment is our relationship with Menards, which is really good. John and I have a really strong relationship, the team also. So everything looks pretty good so far. We'll see, performance has been good this year. I'm very excited. So we'll see what happens next. At the moment, I'm in my championship. And like I said, in the beginning of the year, contract will take care of themselves when comes the time.
And then equally, Simon, this Kiwi kid that's arrived in the Team Penske outfit, Scott McLaughlin, how do you think Scott's been getting on?
What happened in Detroit in practice one set him back. He's tremendous, great talent, and he's awesome to work with. I really enjoy him as a person and as a driver. He has a very focused mind, and he's very task-oriented. I really like it. It's going to take time. It's not that easy in the first year, especially with such a field right now. But like I said at the beginning of the year, I still believe he's going to win a race before the end of the year.
Well, back to you, Dixie. What do you think is making the series work right now? We're seeing probably one of the tougher seasons, and we say that every year, but this year is really tough to win races. We're seeing mixed bag of winners. Is there a reason behind this?
Personally, I think it's just, parity. I think we're seeing where, you need everything to go your way on a day to make it possible, and then a close miss, you're back a lot further than what you would have been in the past. So I don't know. Like I feel like the teams are very tight right now. Some have the upper hand in different situations. So it makes the whole weekend very difficult. There was always an emphasis on qualifying, but then you would typically be able to rebound in the race just because maybe you knew how to handle things a bit better, or the team did, or strategy wise. Whereas that's much more even across the board now. So yeah, they're gone are the days of the small teams. There's no small teams. They're all big, well-funded teams. And we've seen that, I think, really come to the forefront. Plus the manufacturers. The engine, formula right now is very mature and very close. Both of them do things differently and do them well. So yeah, I think it's a lot of it's just the parity, and to try and get everything right on one day is very difficult, as Simon alluded to. So I think it's more attributed to that. Plus, you've had an influx of drivers coming in that are on their second or third or fourth years. That sometimes it takes that time to get it right.
Simon, what's your thoughts on that?
I think, also I would add that the simulator work help young drivers these days. I know that when I came into IndyCar, there weren't any simulator that I could use to be ready for practice one on any tracks. So, now it's totally different. You take a guy like VK, he showed up at Detroit and was on simulator the day before. He had never been there, and he was right on pace. So you have to think about that new technology that's really helping young drivers get ready at a younger age. I tell you what, I wish I had the chance to work like that. And even my simulator at home helps me today. It would have helped me a lot 20 years ago, but it didn't exist. So it's just a generation thing. If I was 20 today, I would be a different driver. That's for sure. But I think that made every drivers a lot closer to each other. The cars are very close to each other because the teams have had a lot of time to work on that package. And we all know the tracks very well. So it's just super, super tight. So at the end of the day, it depends how the whole weekend aligned for you.
This year, for the first time in a very long time, you've got some teammates around you that are going to give you a bit of a hard time in the chase to the title. What's that do inside the Ganassi team?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's makes it tougher for me. It's a lot more people to learn off, and I think especially with these compressed weekends, there's so much that you can take from each driver, and that's even Jimmy included. Everybody does something just a little bit different, but it's when you're kind of pushing that momentum in one direction, and everybody's kind of behind it and pushing, it makes a big difference for everyone. So I think it's been great. I think in the past we've had similar situations that just maybe hasn't rolled along as well for some of the other drivers, which has definitely been frustrating. So as a whole, I think it's huge for Chip. It's huge for the organization, moving forward and for the future. But it also is a huge help to me as well.
Well, Scott, we're getting into the road courses, 2 in a row now with Road America and then Mid-Ohio. Is there things that you can take away from that? Then, of course, there's a gap because NBC have their Olympic coverage in the US. So there's effectively a month's no racing now with no Toronto and not looking like a replacement in any way, shape or form. So going into that break, are there things that you think about or take away for that final chase to the championship title?
I think, and for our team, you're always learning. So yeah, absolutely. You'll be applying no matter what. I think there's also a testing window that opens up through that period. So I think a lot of teams should have at least one test in that off time. It's a bit of a bummer that we have so many weeks off, obviously with the loss of Toronto and then the natural break for the Olympics and NBC. We'll all be missing racing for that period of time. Whatever you learn each weekend, what we learned from Detroit last weekend, some things will apply to this weekend at Elkhart, even though it's a totally different, kind of style of track and a lot of things are different. So yeah, always trying to evolve.
And Simon, equally for you, how do you think that's feeling for you?
Since we don't have much testing, we we're applying evolution toward the next weekend. So I feel we feel stronger and stronger every weekend. I felt really, really strong in race 2 in Detroit, better than we were in Detroit 1. And I think that's going to help us certainly even for Road America and certainly going into Mid-Ohio. So definitely going to help us for Nashville as well. So see, you're always looking forward, always looking at tracks that may be similar. But even if they're not, there's always something you can take out of it for sure.
So when it comes to the crunch, if you've got a couple of contenders come Long Beach, each team for themselves?
It's kind of always that way. You know, I think for us, we're very open. You know, it's always an open book at Ganassi. There's no real, you know, we don't really ever split off in any way, even for race strategy or anything like that. You know, if you're racing hard at the end, you know, the only thing that should pass is that you don't, you know, take each other out, you know, which, you know, for us that, you know, doesn't happen too often, which is good and hopefully won't happen in the future. But yeah, no, once you get to the track and to the race, especially, you know, everybody's trying to win. But again, I think that, you know, helps the team in so many ways. If we can be 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, that's the way we're going to do it. And we'll just try and keep it going each weekend. So yeah, no team orders.
Oh, thanks very much, Scott. All the best for this back half of the season now.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it.
Well, there you go, team. That's just a quick wrap up with our two guests today, Scott Dixon and Simon Pagenaud. Really great to be able to chat with them and get their thoughts on the eve of Road America. Another weekend of back-to-back racing for these guys. 2 races last week at Belle Isle. Now this week at Road America, ultra-fast circuit. Really looking forward to it. We'll catch you then with more shows from Racing World.